This episode is brought to you by all of our patrons. To become a patron, head over to patreon.com/makeusbetter. This week's executive producers are Nick from Next Level Games and Joel Brooks.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Nintendo PlayStation Podcast. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest, best friend in all the land, Toby Thornton. What's up?
Yeah, I'm certainly not the greatest co-host in podcasting, am I?
Not really. Not with that debacle you just did at the beginning. You're getting it. It's going to take you...
embarrassing.
It's going to take you some time to get up to Sean Capri status, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
He's just...
How you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing all right.
I almost did botch up. I almost said the Geekcast for a second.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
I was like, I caught myself just as it was getting ready to come out. I was like, no, wrong show. Let's go. Pull it together here. That's a thing of the past. I'm doing really well, man. Have you messed with the Zelda DLC at all?
No, not yet. I've watched a couple of people stream some of it, so I've seen some of the new stuff. But
I think you'll really like the Trial of the Swords.
So that's just a side quest, isn't it?
Essentially, yeah. I think, and I could be wrong. I don't want to. It's kind of spoilerish, so I don't want to say what it does or what I think it does. But it's tough. It's not easy, man. You know, I thought like, oh, this is simple, but you go in and like, it's not as easy going in with like no food, no armor, no weapons. Like you just start and go. I mean, like they slowly progress you up. Like it's not like they just drop you and go. But as you go through, like I'm getting deeper and deeper in, without dying. So that's not true. I've been dying a couple times. But like what I mean is I get deeper and deeper in. And I'm going like with more hearts as I get to the next room. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm about room 9 right now. I don't even know how many rooms there are. I didn't even look. But man, it's a beast. It is.
I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, I'm afraid I won't be able to beat it. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's a nice challenge though, man. You know, I like it. I like what they did. I know in listening to Nintendo and such, they had said like this pack was initially supposed to be part of the original game. But in order to do it, obviously they would have had to delay the game to the point it is now.
Yeah.
And if you remember back when the NX was a thing, there was rumors that they were going to delay Zelda. And people flipped out. And I think Nintendo looked at that. I think Nintendo originally was going to delay it and give us everything from the start.
Man, you think how badly the Switch would have done if it launched without Zelda?
Game over, man. Game over.
Yeah.
Because they would have. I think what they would have done is they would have probably launched with Mario Kart instead of the Switch.
Yeah, they would have had to bring something,
and it would have been bad. I think it was smart to do it the way they did it. But that said, looking back, the stuff that's in this thing really was needed in. You know, the original, like the map, like the steps to show, man, I looked at that map and I was like, holy crap, I thought I hit everything. And there's spots that and I go over there and guess what? There's shrines there and stuff. And I'm like, man, I had no idea. But you look at Alan Paxton's map. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Because he went for all the Korok seeds, didn't he?
And his
map. Yeah. His map's like someone just threw up on it. Like, there's just green lines everywhere.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
But you know what's interesting is that this DLC comes with Master Mode as well, which is like the hard mode. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see how that's affecting speed running. Because I've been watching people do some speed runs as well.
That's not easy.
And something that speedrunners do is a thing called damage boosting. Mm-hmm. So in the normal mode, there's like some sort of protection. If you got like full hearts, you can't get one shot. Like you can't get hit once and just die. It would, even if it does more hearts of damage than you actually have, it will stop at like a quarter of a heart or something. It won't kill you in one hit. But they've taken that out. So what they used to do, because they wouldn't pick up any extra hearts, so they could survive on just 3 hearts, and they would stasis like a boulder or a box, and then they'd hit it so many times so it was going to fly off into the distance, and then they climb on top of the box and jump forward, and then as the box is released from its stasis, it would fly and hit you, so then you would go flying at such a velocity that you could travel really far across the map really quickly.
That's a good idea.
And it works really well. But now, because they've taken away this damage thing, this one-hit kill thing, you can die by getting hit by this box.
Oh.
So they need to collect a fairy before they try that trick. Otherwise, they'll die.
That's cool.
So, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
That's pretty cool. It's, and the other thing with hard mode is, apparently the enemies start to earn life back.
Yeah.
Like, if you leave them be, they'll earn their life back, which means you can't, like, let's be honest. When I battle a Lionel, like, I'm running away, I'm moving away. This is, no, you're going to have to keep on that thing.
Yeah.
And, like, really go after it. Man, that's hard. Them things are hard as it is. I went back in, like, last week and started messing with it again, trying to get myself back into familiarity of the game before this DLC pack came out. Holy crap, man. Dude, those Lionels are so hard, man.
My top tip for Lionels is electric weapons.
Yeah,
so
it freezes them a little bit.
Electrical arrows just to stun them, so you can just go in and wail on them.
Yeah,
especially when you've got the what's it called, the power up where you swing your sword so many times and you do a thunderous shock and it creates like a massive shockwave. Like that works so well on a Lionel. So yeah,
it's pretty cool. Anyway, let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our Geek Outs.
Outs.
What are you geeking out about this week, Toby?
You know what? I don't know really. I'm just really excited for Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, the remaster of it, and I watched some videos yesterday of I watched a video of all the different changes they've made to the game, and I'm just so excited to get back into this game that I love back on the PS2 and really explore it some more. So,
when is that supposed to be launching?
Sometime July. I can't remember when.
It's been a while in the making too, right?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it was announced early last year. I think
I'll check it out. I think I'm going to check it out when it comes out.
You really should. It's such a good Final Fantasy game.
Problem is there's so many games right now I'm playing, and I don't have a lot of time. You know what I mean? I got to pick and choose my games well, and what's called Splatoon's coming, and I know that's going to consume a lot of time. I'm right back into Zelda. I thought I was done, and I'm back in, man.
You got Rabbids in August.
Rabbids is coming, and I know I'm going to want to spend some time in that one.
Man,
it's going to be rough, man. It's a rough year. That just blows me away when people are like, "Oh, Nintendo's got nothing." I'm like, dude, what are you talking about, man? I don't get it. I don't understand where people are saying what they're saying, but whatever. Myself, so I think this week sometime I'm supposed to actually officially be getting it. Josh Stapleton, on Twitter, he posted some pictures of some Nintendo stuff he picked up at some yard sales. A micro Game Boy he had. And I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, man, I want that. Talk to me about it. So he started, he gave me the rundown on it, showed me pictures of it. Looks good. And I was like, it works. He turned it on. It just needs a power charger. But I think I have one already for one of my DSs. I think it's the same power charger. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. It's funny because that's right around the time that I stopped gaming. Like, I started to get away from gaming and I started selling stuff.
Why do you want it? Just as a collectible? Or?
As a collectible. A collectible, yeah. I mean, I'm not looking to really use it, but it's just it's a part of Nintendo nostalgia. You know what I mean? It's a part of that memory that something I missed and I always wished I had. When I go to Nintendo New York, Nintendo World Store, what it used to be called, they have this huge display of all the different Game Boys and DSs and all that stuff, and that thing is always there. And I'm always like, man, if I was really playing at the time, I would have bought this thing. Why did I let this thing slip through my hands? So now that I have the ability to go back and get it, I'm like, I jumped on it. I'm like, I got to do this, man.
Yeah.
That's got to happen. All right, I think it's my turn to go first on the topics.
Yep.
So, SNES Classic, the SNES, as you like to call it.
Yeah, SNES.
Are you happy with the games is there anything you would have preferred to be included in the lineup that is missing? It's a stellar list. Let's be honest. It is a pretty amazing list.
Completely satisfied with the list. Like there's nothing, no point. At no point did I say, I don't know if it's worth the money. Like, it is definitely worth.
Well, that part, yeah, absolutely. Like, I looked at it and I was like, yeah, money value, it's definitely there.
But I don't think there's any game on the list that I'm like, yeah, I'm not really going to bother with that one.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'm going to play them all.
I'm sure you'll play them all, but I mean, is there any that are just like you would replace? You make a horrible co-host, man. Like this.
Not really. I'm just really happy with all the games.
Oh my god, dude! Come on. All right, first off,
you tell me, Bobby. Okay. What would you play?
So there's 2 Kirby games. I would eliminate one.
Amazing games.
I would eliminate one of them.
Have you played them both?
No, I haven't. I played the first one. I played the one.
Wait.
The Kirby Superstar. I played because I got that one time. It was so cheap.
Wait until you play Dream Course, and then you will be. Oh my gosh, I've been missing out.
But what I'm saying. Please, I'm not missing out.
Yes, you are.
The thing is, here's the thing. If you could eliminate one, I would eliminate one. And I don't know. Like, I look through that list and I go, there's maybe, like, I would have probably not put Super Mario World in there. I would have put the All-Stars edition with Super Mario. That version is the one I would have put in.
Well, yeah, that's kind of a bit of a cheat. But
not really a cheat. It's there. It's available. Put it in. I mean,
that's like saying, "Oh, we're going to put 1 extra game in," but really, you're putting 4 extra games.
Yeah, but but if it's there, if you have the ability to do it right. Don't half-step it. You have the ability to put a cartridge in there or put a game in there that has 5 amazing games.
I'm not saying it shouldn't be there, but I think maybe the reason they didn't put it in there is because the NES Classic has got some of the games. But
you also screwed up and not put a lot of those NES Classics out there. A lot of people missed out on the NES Classic.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
The other thing that I feel is missing, is Chrono Trigger. That's a huge one.
Actually, I thought of a game that I might take off. Because I don't have any affiliation or nostalgia for this game. It's Contra-free. But I know that people rave about that game.
Yeah, but
I've never played it, really, so...
I would, and when I look at it, I would probably pull Super Ghouls and Ghosts. That's one that I would probably take.
I have played that one, but that is just... that game's too hard for me, man. Like I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of that game. It's too hard.
It's a hard game. Ghouls and Ghosts is incredibly hard. Super Ghouls and Ghosts is very hard. So for me, I would have liked to have seen that parody, like them do. I was happy to see Mega Man X included. That was a good one. But I'm missing. I really am. I'm missing Chrono Trigger. It shocked me that Secret of Mana went in before Chrono Trigger, but Secret of Mana is an amazing game in its own right.
It is, yeah.
So I can't be upset with them putting that in there. I don't know. It just, even, and I'm a huge Punch-Out fan, but I don't feel like that's a strong Punch-Out game either. So when I look at it, I go,
yeah.
If I could take some stuff out, I would start with Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I would look at a Punch-Out, Super Punch-Out. For me, I would put Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball in there, but I know not a lot of people are sports fans, so that's not going to really... That's a personal preference. That's not really a preference that Nintendo would put in there. But the one that did shock me that didn't go in, that was in the first one, was Tecmo Bowl. And they have an amazing Tecmo Bowl for the Super Nintendo that is so much better than the Nintendo version that they did. Just shocked me that they didn't do it. But I think a lot of it has to do with the licensing, and you have to really alter the game a lot.
I think for the American version, that would have been a good pick. And I think for the European version, they could have had a football game, like a Sensible Soccer or Super Soccer, because the Japanese version did actually get Super Soccer.
Yeah.
So, that would have been a good choice. But, you know what, I think instead of, like, replacing some of these games, I would rather have paid an extra tenner and got two extra games on top.
I would have liked to have gotten... I probably would have not minded paying $100.
Yeah.
And gotten, maybe like 5 more games or something like that. 5, 10 more games. Like that would have been, 10's a little bit steep, but 5, at least.
Definitely 5.
Yeah. I would have definitely liked that a lot. And The other thing too, real quick, while we're into this, so I did a video on Nintendo Talk this week, and I really thought they were going with the regular controllers that you put in, because I looked at the ports and I was like, oh, this is going to be totally different, blah blah blah. I didn't realize it was a fake front that you flip down.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's a shrunk down console. If you had original inputs, those inputs would have been huge on that little console.
Yeah, but
it wouldn't have looked right.
It kind of threw me off that they did the flip down and then the little clip.
Well, yeah, because they didn't have a flip down for the NES Mini, did they? So,
but it also leads to the idea of man, you totally lied to us. You told us you couldn't do a bigger cord on a NES Mini because it would add to latency and all that stuff.
The Nintendo scientists figured it out, Bobby.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did. They figured. It's so full of crap.
Seen that called though. I can't remember where I saw it, but I think it might have been on Game Explain video or something. They had a photo or whatever, and it is quite a long cord.
It's 5 foot cord.
The NES one you could hold easily with your hands, but the 5 foot one, I don't know if I can hold my hands out 5 foot. Maybe, I don't know. Like
this. So that's it, right there.
Yeah.
That's the NES one. That's it, man. And
exactly. So,
but the Super Nintendo one is twice the size of this one. I think 2.5, something like that. I don't know. It's 5 foot. I think this one's 2.5 or something like that. So it's twice the size of that. But it's
I've got a list of games that I would like to have seen on the SNES Mini.
Oh, now we're coming around. Okay, now you're waking up. Okay.
Which games would you take off? And I'm like, well, I think they're all pretty good. But I would like to have seen SimCity on there, because that's a really good version of that game.
That's a good version of that game, yeah.
It's a very chill game, very strategic. A lot of dads like that game.
I loved it. I used to love it.
Worms, I think that would have been a really good multiplayer game for it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Chrono Trigger, like you said.
Yeah.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors. That's a really good co-op arcade game.
There's not a lot of co-op games in this version.
No. I mean, there's quite a few multiplayer games, but like you said, not many co-op. Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3. It would have been nice to have the whole trilogy there, but I'm happy.
2 definitely. 3 I could take or leave. 3 it was the weaker of them all, but 2 definitely. 2 it got so much better from 1. And I remember beating 1 and playing 1 and thinking man, they can't do no better than this. And then 2 came along and I was like, oh my god, this is phenomenal. By 3 I was kind of worn out. I was like, all right, let's move on to something else.
And slap Bubsy on there, and you got a winner.
Bubsy, come on, man! Would you stop with that nonsense? Again, I look at Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball. As far as the licensing side of that, where people are like, "Oh, you can't put," the only player that's licensed in that game is Ken Griffey Jr. Every other one has all the statistics and the builds and all that of all the players. I remember being a kid and actually going with the newspaper and putting every single player in that game, changing their names. I wouldn't do that on this version, but it'd be cool to have in there. Definitely Chrono Trigger. Definitely the one that I feel like that's missing that was a great game is ActRaiser, and I've talked about it before to you. I think that's a phenomenal game. Don't know how that one got missed. There was just
definitely a unique game.
Yeah. I wish they would have gone, and I don't know how you do this, but man, it would have been great. I'm thinking wrong console. I was going to say No Mercy, and I'm like, that's not the console. That's N64.
No, N64. There were good wrestling games.
That's what I was going to say. A wrestling game would have been really fun to have on there.
But again, licensing.
That's the problem. The problem is that if you look at this console, they're basically staying away from licensing the best they can. Because the problem is a lot of those contracts have lapsed, so you can't get them characters back in. Well, you can't get them people, the likenesses back in there. And even the Ken Griffey Jr. one, I think he signed a deal with MLB The Show, so I don't even think they could use him. At the time, the Nintendo used to own the Seattle Mariners, so the contract was really easy. You know what I mean? They just went in and was like, Griffey, you want to be on this game? Yeah, I want to be on this game. Okay, let's sign a deal. Boom, done. Now there's no connection anymore, It's gone. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's where I'm at. So, but ultimately, so I also did a story yesterday, which would be Friday, for those that are listening to this on Monday. That's the problem with this show. We record and it goes up a different day. You got to think like that sometimes. in the United States, the FCC has not approved the NES or the SNES Classic. So that's what's holding up pre-orders in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They did the same thing with the Pro Controller for the Switch. It didn't get approved. Europe was getting them, and in the United States, people were freaking out because they're thinking like, oh my God, we're not going to get them. My idea was like, well, I'll just import the thing because it's, I'm not worried about it. I could care less. I'll import that thing when the time comes. But then it was like almost simultaneous. Like the minute that it got approved, it went up for pre-order across the board. So I really think people need to pay close attention to when the FCC approves it, because I think you're going to see it go up all over the place. So it'll be kind of interesting. We'll see.
Yeah, good luck, Bobby.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you're going to need it.
I know. I'm a little... you know what? I'm not beating myself up. You know what I mean? Like, if it works out, it works out. If it don't, it don't. If it's
well, I'm doing my best to get one for you from the UK.
You apparently secured one, but then you used an old card.
Yeah, I do. I was in a panic trying to pre-order it from the Nintendo store, and I didn't realize I didn't have a new card on there. So, but I'm sure I can sort it out.
It's fine. We'll figure it. You know what? If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. You know what I mean? The thing of it is like, if I get your version, I'm just getting it for the games. That's not my version. I know,
but it looks so much nicer. You know it does.
Listen to me. I'm not saying it doesn't look cooler. I'm not saying I like the shape.
And the games are the same.
Here's the thing. I like the shape of mine. Yours is more. Listen. I grew up with this.
Yeah. It's what you grew up with. It's
totally different. Yeah. Like, people knock the purple buttons all the time. I'm like, dude, I like the purple buttons. I thought the purple buttons were cool. But I get, like, I didn't even know there was colored buttons until years later, until the internet hit, and I was like,
yeah,
what the heck is that? Like, that's the colored buttons are cool. I'm not going to take it away, but I'm like, man, I really like my controller. Like, I liked it. It's unique. You know what I mean? What I like about that console is nobody else in the world except for the United States got that console, which also makes me think, like, why did that happen? Like, what made them go, oh, we're going to give Europe this version. We're going to give everybody this version except for the United States. Just didn't make any sense to me.
I think it's because your one looks like a Transformer, because it's all square and blocky. And Transformers was huge in the States, so they're like, let's make a console that looks like it can turn into a robot.
So did your NES look like our NES though, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And then in Japan they had the Super Famicom, which is totally or the Famicom, which is totally different.
Yeah.
Australia, I think, got our version. So I guess they did a flip-flop, essentially. Like, in the United States, we got the version that everybody else got of the NES, but then with the Super Nintendo, we got the version that nobody else got.
Yeah.
Like Japan. I don't know. It's different.
It's interesting,
unique.
yeah.
It is interesting. I don't know. We'll see. So, Toby,
if somebody listening knows the answer to that, let us know in the comments, because I'd love to find out.
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting to find out. Toby, what you got a topic for us for Sony?
Yep. So my topic is, do you feel like Sony needs more family-friendly games like Mario and Rabbids and Splatoon, like those sort of games that are hardcore in their own way, but the aesthetic is just family fun. Everyone can play them.
I feel like Sony needs Nintendo to stay alive, because Nintendo gets the kids in, and then Sony steals the kids when they become teenagers. Over. So if Sony wants to, if Sony really wanted to hurt Nintendo, then the idea would be, yes, I think you go and you create this culture where you're bringing the gamers in. They don't have those characters. They don't have, they had Sly, they had Ratchet and Clank. They had at one time a huge wealth of, family-friendly characters, per se.
Yeah.
I feel like they've let that go. Now, they did bring Ratchet and Clank back. I love that game. I thought that was a great game. But at the end of the day, it wasn't like I fell in love with those characters. I don't know what it is about Nintendo characters that I just fall in love with them. It's kind of like Disney against, any other company that does animated films. Like, I watch the animated films, but I'm not like, oh, I remember these characters for the rest of my life. You know, it's almost like when the movie's done, like, it's done. You know, like, even Shrek. Like, as much as I think Shrek was a great movie, it's not like I go, like, oh, that's near and dear to my heart. Like, I love Shrek.
Yeah.
No, it's like DreamWorks, I guess that's the parallel. Like, when I look at Disney movies, and then I look at DreamWorks, DreamWorks does good movies, but it's not like I fall in love with those characters. Or Disney, you fall in love with the characters for some reason. I don't know what it is. And it's very similar, I feel like, with Nintendo. Like, Nintendo you fall in love with, and then Sony, it's like, oh, I admire these guys, but I don't fall in love with them. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to think, like, because Sony's definitely got a more mature audience. Like, they are known for violent games and games aimed at an older audience. You know, they got God of War, they got Horizon, they got Last of Us and Uncharted. Like, all of these games that they have, they're all brilliant games, but generally not aimed at the young audience. And I don't know why they don't have those huge games like Mario and Zelda and that are more all encompassing. Like they used to have, like you say, they used to have Ratchet and Jak and Daxter and Crash Bandicoot and Sly Raccoon, but those franchises, they've sort of faded away a bit. Like, even games like Ratchet and Clank that have come back, they didn't come back in such a huge way that sort of brought everyone back into the fold. And I don't know, it's just, maybe they should just stick to what they're good at and just keep doing these mature games. But you know, it would be nice when my kid's old enough for me to say, let's play a PlayStation game together, like, rather than we're always playing Nintendo games. Because, you know, Nintendo games are fantastic, but when I'm playing PlayStation and the kid's like, "Can I play?" I'll be like, "Oh, let me find this Toys to Life game." I don't want to do that. I don't want to have Toys to Life games for my kid. I want to have cool games like Mario and that on the PlayStation.
Disappoint the hell out of me, man. You're just killing me all around with this kid thing. Like, when I look at when I look at Crash Bandicoot, so that game just came out with this week, and people are all excited for it and such, but it doesn't pull, to me, it doesn't pull the same power as a Nintendo franchise. Like, if Nintendo went away with a Mario game for as long as they did with Crash, and then it came back, like, the world would explode, you know? And like, you look at Odyssey and how hyped people are for that, and people should be on this level for Crash, and I just don't feel it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like everybody's, like, freaking out about it, you know? And it's like, I was reading tweets yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, it's really cool to have..." Because you know what I think the problem is they half-step it. Like, dude, if you're going to do a Crash game, don't remaster the old one. If you want to remaster it, that's fine, but it should come alongside a brand new Crash game. That's the way they should have handled that. And I think it's almost like, well, let's kind of dip our toe into it and see what the reaction is. And then if it's not overwhelming, we won't move forward with the franchise. I feel like it's a mistake. You know?
How do you feel about the way the new Crash game looks? Do you think, like, I feel like they're taking the power of the PlayStation 4 too far with it, because that game on the PlayStation 1 was so cartoony and vibrant colours, very saturated.
Yeah, they're making it more adult.
But now what they've done with the lighting effects and the colours, it looks way more washed out. It looks like they've gone for too much realism for the character.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah. I don't necessarily mind that too much. I feel like they tried to go a little bit the way of Ratchet and Clank, where Ratchet and Clank, like you say, in the early days was very cartoony. In this latest game, it's more realistic looking. You know, it's
definitely shinier, but I think Ratchet and Clank it captures more of the old character than the Crash game does.
Yeah. The Crash game is kind of like, they took it and, like, when the water looks more realistic and you know, and the leaves look more realistic and all that stuff. And it's like,
a lot of it
you
is
could have just you could have pulled back a little bit on that. I feel they could have definitely pulled back a little bit, but you know, hopefully it sells well. Hopefully it sells well enough that Sony goes, you know what, let's try to make another Crash game. The problem is, though, will anybody accept a Crash game that's not done by Naughty Dog?
I don't know. I mean, they did before, but I don't think any of the Crash games since the first three sold as well. So it's the same with Spyro games.
It makes it tough. Yeah, it makes it tough. Like, that's the one thing that Nintendo has been able to maintain. Part of it too is that you have Miyamoto that's constantly touching these games a little bit and going over them and tweaking them and such to give it that life that's there. Like, even Mario Rabbids, like, he was involved in that. He went over and, like, observed it and looked at it and such. It's kind of curious. It makes me curious. I don't know. Maybe that's the problem. They don't have that one person that kind of floats.
You're right. I feel like Nintendo. People always say this. Nintendo has the Nintendo magic. Like, they have the magic touch. They manage to make their games feel special and magical and just fun. Like, you can't help but smile playing a Mario game. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like no developer on the PlayStation side has that ability. Like, they've got so much more ability to make things gritty and realistic and very cool, but like, because Nintendo can't do that stuff. Like, you know, Nintendo just, I don't know, they're just so good at what they do, and I think Sony could learn a lot from that.
I think Nintendo shows, and I know they get a knock sometimes, but like, when you look at a game like Zelda, they're able to take a gritty type game and put their spin on it enough that you know what I mean? Like, when I walk through Breath of the Wild, it has enough realism to it. You know, when you look at the skylines and stuff, when you get up on top of a mountain and you look out, there's enough of that when I get in and I realize, like, oh, these characters are kind of cartoony looking, it doesn't pull me out of the game. Like, it's not super cartoony. It's just enough to make me go, oh, this is a stylistic game. But then, like I said, I go up on a mountain, and it's like you look across the horizon, and it's like, oh my god, this is gorgeous. Yeah. You know, I have
in a different way to, like, Uncharted.
Yes.
You know, you look at Uncharted, and that game is just a masterpiece visually because it looks so realistic. Yeah. But that doesn't mean a game like Zelda can't be just as beautiful as Uncharted just because it's not as detailed.
I remember when I first started Zelda, and I know that I've said this numerous times, but like, I made Tony watch me start the game.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to, like, that moment when you come out of the cave, I wanted to experience that with her just so she could see what this game was all about, because she had never watched anything leading up to it. She didn't care about Zelda. Her parents used to play Zelda all the time when she was a kid. She just didn't care about it at all. So that moment when you come out of the cave and it does the pan of the horizon, she's like, oh my god. She's like, this is like a watercolor painting. She's like, this is so gorgeous. And she was blown away. And I was like, that's it right there. Like, it tells you, like, that's what this game is. It is so gorgeous. You know, they started it with Wind Waker. I don't like when Nintendo does, like, a serious looking Zelda game. Like, leave the serious stuff to other people. You know, like the Twilight Princess, that's beautiful, it's great, blah blah blah. Just leave it to somebody else. Keep doing the Wind Wakers and the Skyward Swords and the Breath of the Wild.
And you know, I love that. Thinking about it, you remember that tech demo when the Wii U was first shown off of that gritty looking Zelda?
Yeah.
So I think Nintendo, from that, I mean, I don't know how much of their own work went into that. Probably, I don't know, but they show that they can do that art style, and if they wanted to, they could make something realistic and gritty. But
I agree.
That's just not their forte. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see where they could take that in the future, but I don't think they'll ever do it.
No, probably not. Probably not. It's interesting. It's interesting. All right, Toby, time to get hot off the presses over here.
Oh yeah.
What do you got? I'll let you go first this week.
I got some good ones today.
Okay, let's see.
All right, so I'll just give you titles, and then you can pick from the titles. Mm-hmm. All right, so PayPal ban, PSN ban. Weirdness. What?
PayPal was banned from the PSN?
It was to do with PayPal.
Okay.
Platinum Trophy game scandal. Or weirdness, sniff the dead or alive ladies.
I'm really only interested in the PayPal one, to be honest with you. The other two are kind of... Well, the second one I know about. Apparently an indie developer put a platinum trophy up that was like really super easy to get, and Sony took it away. So But the third one is just no. Let's go with the PayPal one.
So, people in the UK have had their PlayStation account banned after a PayPal error causing the PlayStation Network purchases to be refunded. So, basically, people were using their PayPal account on the PlayStation Network to buy a game, and for some reason, their money would be refunded and they wouldn't get the game. But because PayPal took the money back, Sony was like, like you've done something weird here, so we're going to ban you from the PlayStation Network.
Get out of here.
It was like it was some sort of automated system that they had in place, and because of this error, it was like banning people's PlayStation accounts.
What the hell?
So, yeah, it says it's only affecting people in the UK. Both companies are blaming each other for the glitch, so no one's taking responsibility.
Well, okay, so wait a minute, wait. So it's something that the initial kickback, is that is between the two parties to figure out.
Yeah.
The banning of people, that's on Sony, man.
Yeah, and Sony, they are beginning to reinstate people's accounts because, like, I think it's the weird thing is just because it's all automated. Like, something in their coding was like, you know, if you buy a game and we don't end up with the money for whatever reason, then we're going to ban you. But
the people didn't get the game, right?
No, they didn't get the game. But...
So you're banning them for nothing.
No, exactly. That's what's so bad about it.
That'd be like me trying to buy a game with my debit card, and my debit card gets declined.
Yeah.
I feel like a jackass as it is, because I didn't have the money that I thought I had, and I don't get the game, and then you turn around and you ban me?
Yeah. It sucks. And sometimes PayPal do incentives. They say if you top up or you spend £30 or whatever, we'll give you £5 in your PayPal credit, like through PlayStation Network. So I don't know.
Oh, that's so typical. Sony.
Dodgy. Yeah.
Typical Sony. For the players. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, no real explanation about
it. You know what? But I'll say this: that's Nintendo does that crap too. Like, you just do stuff and you don't tell nobody nothing. Like, why is it that people have to dig to find out that pre-orders aren't up for the SNES? Because the FCC hasn't finalized, approved it. Because I'm hearing too, that's why Xbox One X consoles haven't gone up either, is because the FCC hasn't done it. So it's like, man, just be like, hey guys, we're gonna do pre-orders, relax. As soon as, you know, the FCC approves this, we'll be allowed. No, let's just keep quiet and act like nothing. Let's just stare at the wall. Everybody's asking us stuff, and you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when my nephew was like 3 or 4 years old, right? And he would do something wrong, and I'd be like, Tony, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And he would, Toby, I swear to God, he'd go like this. For those that can't see, I covered my eyes, and he believed that if he covered his eyes, I would go away, and I wouldn't be yelling at him anymore.
Imagine doing that as an adult, like exactly. you cut in line at a store, and somebody's like, "Excuse me," you just cut in line, and you just go,
"You can't see covering your eyes."
I'm not here.
But he used to cover his eyes and be like, "I don't see you, so I'm okay. I'm safe." It's the same thing. Like, we're just going to cover our eyes and like everything goes away. Like, grow up, people. Like, seriously, man. Okay. So for me, I have Nier, Witcher 3, Batman Arkham Knight are running on the Switch. First Switch rewards are up, My Nintendo in Japan. And the porting of Steep to Switch is becoming an issue for Ubisoft.
Let's talk about the first one. I'm really interested in this.
Okay, so there is a company called Rainway.
Yeah.
And they have an app that will be available on the Switch. Yesterday, there's a guy that's doing the tech demo and stuff, and he actually was demoing those games. He got those games up and running through... What it is the app loads onto the Switch. It's a web-based app. And then what happens is you stream off of your PC. So, essentially, you would buy the game through Steam. And then this app would allow you to play that game on your Switch. He also was playing Undertale was another one. I know it's a big one that people want, but he was playing Batman: Arkham Knight, Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, Nier, and Undertale. It's primarily designed to streaming content across a wireless network from a PC. This feature makes it possible for gamers to stream their PC games on other devices such as the Nintendo Switch, all by using a web browser. So he's got demos up on his YouTube, or on his, the guy's name's Andrew Sampson. It's at AndrewMD5. He actually has demos of the games playing on the Switch. Like, he's showing it, and it's like real time. Dude, I'm hyped. Because this, to some degree, can become Nintendo's answer. If, you know, like, oh, I want this great big gigantic AAA game. Okay, here you go. Like, we can't bring it this way, but but it also makes you think, like, well, because it's using the power off of the PC to run it. But for me, what excites me is there's some games, some indie games that are on Steam that never come to Nintendo. Alwa's Awakening. I want that. Yeah. I want to play that game so bad.
Well, yeah, dude. There's a lot of games that don't even come to PlayStation or Xbox that are Steam exclusive.
Yes.
And,
so
to have those being able to stream, like,
for me personally, it's not about the big AAA games. Like, don't get me wrong, it's nice because I'll be honest with you, if I could play Arkham Knight on my Switch as opposed to on my PS4, I'm gonna play it on my Switch because of the ability to take it on the go. Now, again, you have to have a Wi-Fi connection, but at work I have a solid Wi-Fi connection. I literally my office sits right next to, on the outside of my wall is the router for the company. So during lunchtime, I can easily play, so it would be nice to do that. Like, I go to Disney on vacation, hook into the Wi-Fi, I can play. So all these different things are kind of appealing to me when I think about this. Then the ability to play, like I said, indie games. Like, I love indie games, man.
It's so weird seeing, like, The Witcher on a Switch. Like, it feels naughty. It feels like you're cheating. And something I like about that, I don't know. It's just you could probably even get. Well, I don't know.
Listen, you could get Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, you could. I was gonna say you could probably get some Xbox exclusives to run on it, but I think they only sell those on the Windows Store and not Steam. So I don't know if it's Steam exclusive or PC exclusive.
It's saying PC. It's saying PC.
Because wouldn't that be funny if you could play like an Xbox One exclusive on your Switch? Like, that would just be so hilarious.
Sean Capri would have a heart attack if he could play Forza on his toilet. Well, you know what I mean? Like, that's ultimately that's what you're looking at. You're looking at this ability to play, these things on your.
It's a shame that you do need to have an expensive PC for the higher end AAA games.
Yeah.
But like you say, a lot of the cool indie games that just never come to anything other than PC, like, it'd be great to play those on your
That's
Switch.
what I look at. I look at, like, dude, could we be playing Cuphead on it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could get an Xbox Live account,
Yeah.
buy this game, keep it on my computer, and then guess what? I could stream it and play it. Like, that's exciting, man, when you think about that stuff. Because it opens Nintendo up to being a I could get Final Fantasy 15 on my Switch. Like, there's all these games I could put on my Switch. It's exciting for me. Like, I think about it and I go, there's a lot of gamers out there that are PC gamers, and if they can now buy this device and go places and still come back and play their games.
I don't know, like PC. If you had a really good PC. Because, everyone knows PC Master Race, all PC games look better than anything on console.
Yeah.
You have The Witcher 3 on max settings, streaming to your Switch. Like,
that's crazy.
Insane.
And what was it, last week? Nintendo just made it where you could hook a keyboard to your Switch.
Yeah.
That latest update that came up, that was one of the updates in it where you could put a keyboard on your Switch. So anywhere you could type, you could do that. So, dude, if I'm on vacation, you know what I mean? And I bring my stuff with me when I go away. I can literally play these games.
I wonder if I could do RPG Maker on the Switch from my PC. I wonder if that would work.
I'm sure it would.
There's probably limitations to it that we don't know about, but
so far
the possibilities though.
So far, well, let's put it this way: one of the games the guy was running 1080p 60 frames per second on the Switch. So it's
obviously
huge.
not in handheld, but yeah, like
everything he showed is handheld.
The handheld screen is only 720p, even if it's running 1080 on.
Well, it's
PC.
running on the web base at 10. Yeah, but what I'm saying is everything. The 60 frames, all that stuff, that was all running on the handheld.
The best place to play The Witcher 3 is on the Switch.
It's amazing, dude. It's really,
it's
to me,
cool.
It's exciting, man. It really is, because you look at it and you go, we're hitting a point where Nintendo is, with this app, I think it sets Nintendo up for some good stuff. And the only thing I'm curious about is, would this app run on a PlayStation Vita? And I don't see why it wouldn't, which would be good. But the problem is that my curiosity is how good is the streaming, because the Vita allows you to stream the PS4, but it doesn't always work. It's not very good.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a thing called Steam Link, which is the same concept. It's a little box that you plug into your TV, and you can stream games from your PC directly onto your TV. And if you've got a good connection, then it can work great. But my brother tried it, and he had slightly lower connection than mine, and it didn't work so well. I don't know whether it's the wall setup, like the distance between the PC and the link, but there could be like some things like that might affect it.
Kind of cool. Yeah. It's time for the rewind, and at this point, Toby and I bring a classic game to the fold, and we kind of discuss it and talk about it and all that stuff. So, what did you bring a PlayStation game this time, Toby?
Yeah, I bought a PlayStation 1 last time.
Okay, I'm just making sure, because you tried to slip in a Nintendo one a couple weeks ago, and it kind of hurt my feelings that you were slipping on your toes. What do you got for this week?
So this week, keeping with my theme from last week.
Oh, Final Fantasy.
No, not Final Fantasy. I'm talking about Micro Machines V3 on the PlayStation 1.
Lord.
And it just so happens Micro Machines World Series, I think that's what it's called, is coming out on PlayStation 4, a new Micro Machines game. But today we're talking about V3, which was such a cool game on the PlayStation 1. It's basically, you go back to your childhood when you're pushing cars around on the table, on the kitchens, the worktops and that. It's like that. It's a top-down camera, and you can control tanks and cars and even like boats and stuff. And it's like some kid has made some elaborate setup for a racetrack, and it's just really cool. Like it just feels like you are a kid again playing these silly little car games. But what's awesome about it is you get power-ups, like in Mario Kart. Like you might pick up a giant mallet that you can squish other cars with, or missiles and magnets and stuff like that. And there's even like environmental hazards. So like on the kitchen countertop, the kid might have poured some cereal on the side or some honey, and if you drive over that, it slows you down. So you got to be like careful about stuff like that. But there's like shortcuts you can take with like jumps, and it's all made out of card, and it's really, really cool.
I never played.
And the characters are really cool as well. Like they're so silly. Like the main character is called Spider, and he's basically the Fonz. He's got a leather jacket, and then his hair all up and everything, and it's so funny. Like it's such a cool game.
I don't think that's one I'll try, Toby. I'm definitely going to try the Final Fantasy one. I don't think I'll try, but I'm curious what people think. Like,
well,
what do people think? Like
on the PlayStation 4, like you might like playing multiplayer Micro Machines on PS4.
No.
Why not?
No.
You like Mario Kart? This is awesome.
So is it a kart racer, or is that what it basically is?
It's a top-down Micro Machines racer, like Hot Wheels, but cooler.
No. I don't think it's going to happen, Toby.
You're such an old man, Bobby.
Whatever, man. Listen, whatever. Okay,
I don't want to play toy cars.
I want to play with real toys. Real toys. So a couple weeks ago, I talked about this game a little bit, but I didn't really get into detail about it. And so growing up, I was
Bobby, don't you dare mention another sports game.
This isn't a sports game.
Good, you better not.
This isn't a sports game. No. So growing up, I was a huge fan of movies, like especially summer blockbuster movies and things of that nature. And one of the things that always stunk about Nintendo game, any video games, was movie games were just always horrible. But I was a huge fan of the Karate Kid, and the Karate Kid on the Nintendo is actually a really good game.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It really is. So you start off the game.
Yep, cool.
You start off the game. You're in the tournament, right? So you're going through the tournament. You're beating the Cobra Kai, and then you win. And you get announced a champion, and then you end up in Okinawa, and you start going through, and then you're going through the level, and then you go into these huts. And when you go into the huts, you do these different things of like you do one where you're trying to catch flies with chopsticks, and then you do another one where there are little mini games. You do another one where you're trying to break the ice like he does in Karate Kid 2.
Yeah.
And then there's another one where, if you remember the part where Mr. Miyagi drops the anchor at him and it teaches him the drum technique, you do that, and like all these different little mini games. The drum technique one was always so hard. And then you beat the level, and then you go back, you do the next level, and you're in Okinawa again, but it's during the hurricane. Or the bad storm, and you're going through, and like winds coming at you, and there's branches coming at you, and the enemies are coming at you, and then you finally beat that, and then you go into like a more like sunsetting level. Again, you're in Okinawa, but then you wind up fighting Chosen at the end, and you're in that pit with all the people around and the little drums. It's cool, man.
What sort of enemies do you find? Like, do they take liberties with like the enemies in the game? Because a lot of movie games on the NES and that, they just whack weird random enemies in.
No, it's people that are coming after you, and they're all like, Chinese or Oriental people, Japanese people.
So at no point are you fighting mutant frogs or
no.
spiders.
The only time you get a little, and it's not even really bad, or I would say it's out of context, is during the tornado scene or the hurricane scene. There's birds that might fly. Yeah. And you see the birds trying to fly, but they're getting pushed back by the wind, so they'll run into you. And then you'll see, like, pots coming at you, like that are getting blown off of the porches and stuff.
That's acceptable.
That's acceptable stuff.
Yeah.
The graphics are pretty good at that time. But I really enjoy that game, man. I really did. Me and my cousin used to play it all the time. And I remember when I finally beat it. Because the hardest level was the hurricane level. I could never beat that level. And then I got past it, and I got to the end, and I fought Chosen. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, this is just so cool. And it's funny because you have to beat him with the drum technique. Because that's the thing, you get these power-ups. So as you're going through, when you do certain things, you get either crane kicks or the drum technique. There's your two things you pick up. And they're like special moves that you do. And it's just a matter of pushing a different button, and it happens. But as you go through, when you get to Chosen, if you do because if you remember the movie, Daniel tries to do the crane kick, and he catches him and throws him up against the rocks and stuff. So when you do the crane kicks, what happens is the girl that you're trying to save, she starts backing up, and if she falls in the water, you die. So if he beats you, you die. Yeah. If he falls, so what happens is when you hit him with the drum technique, it beats him up quick, and then she is okay. It's just really well done. It's one of those movies where they didn't take crazy liberties with it and just change everything about it and really mess it up. So I was happy.
They should remake it for Switch with Jackie Chan.
Oh, stop. No, not that version. Come on. Ain't nobody better than Pat Morita.
No.
Mr. Miyagi, man. I hated that movie. I can't believe they did that to that franchise. Horrible. So that is all. Thank you guys for listening to us. Dayspace.com. Check us out over there. Check us out on iTunes, Google Play, all that good stuff. YouTube. Watch the video version on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. You can watch Toby like flounder through stuff and watch his face when he's
please don't. It's
when
embarrassing.
He's yelling at me and stuff, and I can't do it. I can't read this right.
I can't do it, Bobby.
You can follow the show at NinPlay Podcast on Twitter. Follow Toby on Twitter at Toby's_take. Follow me at Nintendo Gurus. See me later.
You can follow me on Instagram at Amiibo_workshop. See me later.
Of course.
See me later.
Piece of trash. Yes. If you want to change it up, you can change it up. But that is you and Sean's job. I'm tired of carrying the weight around this month.
Did Sean do a good job? I can't remember.
He fucks up all the time, too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I play it, sometimes I don't. But last week he did okay. But the week before, it was a mess. You should have heard it. You should have watched it.
Yeah.
Because me and the guest, Joseph Moran, just messed with him the whole time. He was getting all frustrated.
Does Sean read my comments that I leave on the YouTube?
I don't know.
I don't think he does.
I think both you guys don't really go to the channel much and read the comments, because unless I tell you guys to go.
Well, I'll read them, the ones that are there, if I'm watching like the podcast.
Oh yeah. Like I'm going because I get notified all the time, so I'm constantly looking at it. You know, where you guys don't get that, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
I need to get my spectacles on.
Am I too far away? Should I come closer?
You're fine.
I can come closer.
You know what I want to do? No, you're fine. Go ahead.
That's better, right?
You're good.
My mouse is running out of battery.
Oh, good God. Would you just go?
Sorry, I've got to read my thing. Are you recording? Oh, shit.
Yes, I'm recording. Let's go. You're just making some great footage for me, man, at the beginning of the show.
Oh, man. I've got the giggles now. Composure. Deep breaths. This episode is brought to you by all of our patrons. To become a patron, head over to patreon.com/ I can't get it right, Bobby. I can't do it.
What is wrong with you? How can you not do it?
I'm not a professional like you, Bobby. I'm an amateur. Come on.
Before we start today's show, we wanted to say thank you to all of our patrons for
Bobby,
supporting us.
I'm doing it. Let me do it.
Then get it right. Come on, I got another show to do in an hour.
This episode is brought to you by all of our patrons. To become a patron... There's too much pressure, man.
Now you know how it felt, right? All those times you used to mock me and make fun of me when I would screw up the beginning and the end. Now you know how it feels.
This episode is brought to you by all of our patrons. To become a patron, head over to patreon.com/makeusbetter. This week's executive producers are Nick from Next Level Games and Joel Brooks. See? I did it. I'm a pro.
After 60 takes. Good God.
I was scared you were going to slap me through the internet, Bobby.
Oh, my Lord.
Digital hand is just going to come through.
I needed to.
Get your act together, boy.
All right. What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Nintendo PlayStation podcast. I